Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Carstensen Team Remax Results live show. What's happening in Minnesota real estate? Show number 24. Stacy, I don't think we've done a show since November.
Yeah,
Stacy Hoyer with me. Michelle, my sister, will be joining us in a few moments. How you been lately, Stacy?
I've been keeping busy, trying to keep up with everything and find people houses that want to buy houses still. And there's still lots of them out there. So if you're looking to sell, we got plenty of buyers for everyone.
Lots of buyers out there, or lots of houses out there. Please clarify.
Yes, please. Yes, there is both. Sorry. Yes. There's both.
I don't feel like there's lots of houses out there, but there's probably lots of buyers.
There is more buyers, I think, right now.
Could use more listings. So obviously what we normally do on this show is update you on what's happening in Minnesota real estate. We took December off, we took January off, and we're finally doing a show again. I think we could have done a show, maybe.
Probably could have.
Maybe sometimes we feel like we're repeating ourselves. Later in the show, I'm going to have questions for Michelle and Stacy on things we run into real estate, things that maybe sometimes sellers or buyers think are a good idea, why they might be a good idea, why they might not be a good idea. So stay tuned for that, because they are, I don't want to say all common things, but they're things that you hear about. And sometimes you wonder, okay, does that even make sense to do it that way? And everybody's got their own idea. Some of people's ideas aren't as great as others, I think, sometimes. So, and with that, I always like to remind people, this is obviously live on Facebook. It's live on YouTube. You can also obviously later watch our recording on our Carstensen Team Facebook page if you can't watch the whole show, on Chuck Carstensen YouTube page. And then I download it to the Real Life Impact podcast, and you can download it and listen while you're driving, because it's not like we're doing a lot of actions in the background here. You can mostly listen to it. Although I did tell Lucas that I was probably going to maybe show his Valentine's project. So I thought it was kind of cool what he made for his Valentine's project. He's my fourth grader. So how the kids been for you, Stacy, and your dog? Your dog's in the background, I think.
Yeah, so I closed the other two in the bedroom, so the little guy's out here, so he's gonna calm down. I think we'll see. He wants to play ball, and like they're super calm all day until like I get on a call or a Zoom conference or like a live like this, and they want your attention the whole time. But no, my kids have been good. Oh, that's super cute.
Yep, he did a Timberwolves Valentine's. Melissa had the idea of putting a little basketball hoop. As some of you know, Lucas is a big basketball fan, basketball player, fourth grader. So here's his Timberwolves basketball court Valentine's box.
That's great. He did a great job. I love it. Yep. I love that that his school's allowing them to pass out Valentine's, because my fifth grader, I was talking to him last week and I was like, oh, do you get to make a Valentine box? And then I got an email saying, no, they don't get to do anything for Valentine's Day, which I think is kind of sad, because then I was telling him about my experience as a elementary schooler, and he was kind of like, oh, okay.
What was your experience?
Well, we had like room moms, and parents would sign up, and like Halloween and Valentine's Day, and I think there was like an end of the year party. They would come in like a week, like for Valentine's Day especially, they'd come in a week prior, and we would all like bring in shoe boxes and make Valentine boxes together. And if your parents were able to make it and come in with you, they would come in with you and do it, or like not, then the room moms would help you. And then on Valentine's Day, we'd do a big Valentine's party. And obviously I know that's changed over the years as far as like when Lexi was little in elementary school, but I mean, it's changed even more since COVID happened. So that's unfortunate. But I remember every year I would make a, like you remember those canopy beds? Like with the canopy over the top. I'd make a canopy bed for my shoebox. So it'd be pencils for the posts, and then like doilies or like lace things over the top for the canopy. That's what I did every year.
Good job. I don't remember making boxes.
No?
I don't. Maybe we did. I don't.
Bags, maybe?
I don't know what I did. I can't remember. But yeah. It's. I think it's fun to make the projects.
I think it is too. It gives. I mean, like look at. I have that fond memory, and that was, we'll just say, a few years ago. Like, and I can still remember it, and I can still remember different things about it. So everything that you do in school should not always be super serious. It can be fun too.
Yeah, I know they can't have girlfriend and boyfriends in 4th grade though,
Oh, they're not allowed to.
because Lucas got a little note from a girl a couple days ago, and it got confiscated.
Oh. Well, they got to be
He didn't
better
get a
at
chance to
passing
read
them. Jeez.
He didn't get a chance to read it. His friend next to him read it though.
Oh boy. Check yes or no. Do you want to be my Valentine? Do you think I'm cute?
We don't know what it said, so it'll be a mystery for the rest of our
Yeah.
lives.
We can just assume what it said. Make up stories.
No, that's fun. And I think most of the time I'm normally in the office when I do these. I'm doing it from home today. Like Stacy, you're normally doing these from home. So
Yeah.
hopefully my internet doesn't crash. I used to not be able to do that at home because we had not as great an internet. Now it's better, and but you never know. So that could happen.
You froze a couple of times for me, but
I have.
yeah, but I don't know if it's my side or your side too. So
Yeah. Well, it could be. It could be either way. So
no problem. We'll
find
work
out.
through it. I'll just like if you freeze and I know you're talking, I just try and pick up what you're saying.
Sure. All right. Well, we're still waiting for Michelle. She's working on some deals or something. Working on some listings.
Something.
Well, why don't we start with this then, Stacy? What's happening in real estate? Say since the first of the year, your feeling, my feelings, our insights. What do you want to share?
So I mean, the year started off actually pretty solid for me. I'd gotten a few offers through the first couple of weeks of January, still buyers and sellers out there. And then just kind of the last couple of weeks, I don't know if it was the cold that kind of held people off as far as buy side for my clients is I haven't looked at a lot of houses lately. Picked up again, and there's more coming on the market, but there's definitely, we'll just say a little bit of a slowdown of inventory coming on the market. And it could do with a lot of different things. I mean, the holidays just got done. People go out of town on vacation, January, February, March. They don't want to list their homes during those times. The cold weather could deter some people. We got some, like the winter birds that kind of go out of town and kind of things like that. So, I mean, I know we talked the other day and February is going to starting off strong for Michelle, at least too. I've, kind of been reading her emails and stuff like that. And there's more stuff that's been popping on the market daily and, stuff that my clients are starting to get more interested and excited about. So, it's definitely, it's a pretty typical January, February start, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, in general, for Minnesota real estate, November through February, a little bit, that's the winter time. A little bit hit or miss, meaning there's just less people listing. I did take 9 listings in January, which is
great.
In January. Most of them sold. One of them we did end up canceling. So I have, I think 2 of them hanging. Yeah, 2 of them are still hanging out there. Getting a lot of action, but I think the biggest thing that I notice on some of the properties out there is that are getting a lot of showings but don't sell, which is very rare, but these are rural outlying area properties, is a lot of people that are looking at those are not ready, like they're not pre-approved. So they actually go and like the property and then they can't get a loan. And this will be one of my questions later, so I won't even get into like the question and answer of it, but it's very, I don't want to say it's strange to me. I guess here's what I think's happening on those. As you know, Stacy, and you just said it's not as many showing. So a realtor, because we're not sure, a lot of times another realtor showing the listing. A realtor gets a call on a property, or as a buyer, they've been sending properties to for 2 years. Well, 2 years ago, the listings were less. They didn't cost as much, right? And now what you get for that same price now isn't as great as 2 years ago. So these people that have been on real estate lists for a while, maybe because they couldn't get a loan for sure, now maybe they're close to getting a loan. It's finally like, hey, there's a house to go see. I think a lot of those people go see them, but then they're still not ready to buy. Stuck. Or like, 2 years ago, I could have got like a Taj Mahal for this price. Yeah, well, not you could have got a lot more for the money 2
Yeah.
years ago if you were looking for 2 years. It's definitely heartbreaking to buy now because the prices went up so much.
Yep, and that is very true. You do make a really good point.
Michelle, I see you're trying to come on, but I don't see your face. So you're gonna have to let me know if you're actually ready to come on or what's going on.
Oh, her camera wasn't working the other day, so hopefully we can see her face today.
You need a new phone. I might need a new computer soon. Like a couple of my keys are very sticky. I don't know if that's warrants getting a new computer, but this one I've had for a while, so probably.
Yeah, I mean, so many things change so often with computers. You might as well upgrade it if the keys are sticky.
I'm sending a text message during the show. This is how it goes. You're gonna have to carry the show for 30 seconds.
All right. So, hey, the weather got nice the last couple of days, so that was nice. Today is not going to be the best day, but we'll deal with it. But it's all right. Better weather is looking up for us, I feel like. So it's definitely a plus.
Nice. Yeah. I like that. The snow on the deck melted, some of the driveways melting off. And then, it's probably just temporary, but still it feels good a little bit.
It felt good. I would agree. Makes you feel a little bit better.
All right. So, when Michelle, I don't know what Michelle's doing. So there, hey, show the doggy.
He decided to come on. Say hi, Milo.
Oh my goodness, just too cute. Too cute. Now that's why you watch the video.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's the only that's
Scouty,
one of the many reasons.
I'm home. I could show Scouty, but Scouty looks like he needed to be groomed 4 months ago. So that's how
he's kind of got bedhead. But
all right, Michelle, we'll bring you on, Michelle. There's Michelle.
I'm on my phone. My computer doesn't work.
Like your camera?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to it. It's really irritating though.
How old is your computer?
It's like brand new, but it's been acting up. So here we are.
Better get the tech guy on it.
I probably just don't know how to get my camera back on. So
well, minor details.
Yeah.
What's been going on, Michelle? We're just talking about what's happening in Minnesota real estate since the 1st, even though we haven't done a show since November. So it could be like the last 3 months.
I think we did do it in December and January.
Yeah.
We definitely didn't do it January.
Definitely didn't do it in January. Last one was in
November.
And then we got bored with it.
Huh.
No, we were busy.
I don't remember that. God, time flies, I guess.
Yes, it does.
I've been working a lot, so gonna do another listing today that'll be coming on next week. Just put one on Sunday. I already sold that one. Got a coming soon offer accepted yesterday. So as long as people trust me to make coming soon offers, it usually works out. Done that a few times within the last year. So
it can happen. Coming soon offer means you got to do an offer sight unseen because it's listed coming soon. You cannot show the home till the active date. I get a question every day like, hey, I want to go see the home. And some of the coming soons are literally like February 24th, you can go see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, nope, we can't see it to February 24th, but you can make an offer sight unseen. And obviously, some people get confused about that. Some people like, I got to see it, which I understand. You want to see the home.
Oh, yeah.
We can make a contingent on seeing the home.
Yeah, that's what we did. We got to see it within 24 hours.
The seller may not take it.
That was ready to see it at 9 a.m. was not happy with us.
I bet.
So did you go show it already, or?
Yeah, we saw it this morning. It's all good to go. But like people, I suppose, didn't know that it was already sold because they put it on the market. So.
And they didn't pin it or show the inspection because in case you didn't like it, it wouldn't make sense to do that. Which, if I am the buyer's agent in that case, I understand that from the seller doing that. If you're the other buyers who didn't get it, you're going to be fuming mad.
Fumes coming out of your heads.
Yeah, definitely. Yikes. Mm-hmm. That's all right. Good for your clients, though.
Yeah, it worked out. So it's all
they're
good.
Happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. Keeping Esther busy.
Yep.
Yeah. Tomorrow we have our rewards.
Rewards. Michelle, we get rewards.
We do. We get rewarded with awards for our.
Yep. I'm like a kid at the candy store getting rewarded with my awards.
Yeah. So the thing about, Remax Results has a nice party for the 2021 awards. And if you're getting a top award, you're getting one. We don't know what it is. We have ideas of what it is, but because we had awards last year, last year we
On
were the
Zoom.
number. Last year
Yeah.
we did it. It wasn't in person; it was on Zoom. Last year, the Carsonson team Remax Result was number 2 in transactions for small teams and Remax Results. And I always got to remind people, Remax Results has what, over 40 offices, 1,400 agents.
46
So as far as
offices.
a top small team, I mean, there's large teams, there's medium teams, there's small teams. Obviously, that means we're right up there at the top of the list in production. We're in top 5 in volume, meaning if you add up all those transactions, the most you add up the numbers, the most volume of sales too. So we did better in 2021. I don't know what everybody else did, so that's like, hey, where do we end up, I guess. So
Yeah, I'm excited to find out.
Cool. So Michelle, I had some questions that I was going to ask on this, where you and Stacy would answer them. They answer real estate questions for people that are listening or hearing the recording or watching it. And then they could go either way. There's probably some of them, there's the plus and a minus, the pro and con to it. So when I ask the question, if one of you answer it one way, maybe the other one says, well, this could be the negative of it. Depends on the question. So are you ready for some questions, some real estate questions?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm going to remind people too that if they want to, they could also comment with their questions below as the show goes on in the chat section. We'll answer your questions as well. So question number 1, what is a love letter, like a buyer love letter to the seller? What is that? Answer that for the people. And then what are the pros or cons to writing that love letter to the seller with your offers? Explain that. Who wants to explain that?
Well, I can explain it, but first, legally, we're not supposed to supposedly advise people on this. But a love letter is when, basically what I did when I bought my house last year is I wrote a letter to the sellers explaining who I was and why I was buying the house. Okay, did I get shut off?
Nope, you were
No.
fine.
Hello?
The call did not shut you off.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Oh, Lord.
Don't be careful what you say because we can hear you.
She just disappeared.
She's like, I'm out. So I'll start talking.
Okay.
So we don't have dead airspace. So like Michelle was saying, a love letter is just kind of a letter that is given from the buyer to the sellers, explaining their interest in their wants and kind of what their plan is to do once they move into the house. So it's kind of just we'll call it formal or informal letter that you are giving to the seller, saying your interest and showing your interest in the house, in the hopes that they choose your letter and your offer, or your offer / your letter based on what is written or said.
Okay. I was busy trying to get Michelle in
Yep.
there. I think you did a good job of explaining it, but I was I might have messed it up. Somebody who's listening could comment like, hey, that was a good explanation.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it does work sometimes and it doesn't work sometimes. Sometimes it irritates people and sometimes it works, and you never know when that's going to be. So.
Yeah. And some sellers, like, I'll just use the place I sold just in December. We got 9-10 offers and we got some letters, and I presented everything to the sellers and I said, okay, this offer has a letter that it's attached to it. And they didn't care to see the letter. Like that is 100% the seller's discretion and choice. They were like, well, we don't want to see that. This is a financial decision for us. And that's something that us as agents need to explain as well for our buyers. Like, you're more than welcome to write a letter if you choose to. I will submit it with your offer. However, it is, if they choose not to read it, that is 100% their choice. Mm-hmm. So we I always like to make sure that my clients know and understand that, both from the seller side and the buyer side.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle mentioned something earlier. In some states, they're literally banned. You can't write
Huh.
one.
Mhm.
And then some realtors, I think probably based on what Michelle mentioned earlier, will say no love letters with your offer because they, I think a con of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of you, is that it can be, it can be like you're giving personal information that you typically wouldn't be giving, and it can sway it one way or the other, and it could be taken, like Stacy said, by some sellers as a negative and some sellers as a positive, and not be really maybe fair to the other people. But
Well,
it's still in Minnesota, it's still debatable. You can
Well,
do.
and it could be discrimination. It
I
could
was
be
just
lots
gonna
of
say that. I mean,
so
maybe the person that you're buying a house from hates kids, and you have 4 kids that are going to move into the house, and you have a solid offer, and because you said that you had kids, they're not going to pick your offer. So I mean, let's just give everyone a fair shot. And yeah, because discrimination does play a big role in it, unfortunately.
I think pros though. Sometimes when we get, or at least on my listings, if I get a letter from the buyer and I send it to the seller, I send it to the seller because it's part of the offer. I think a higher percent of the time the sellers I work with, when they get one, actually like that they tell them something about them. So
Yeah.
I think so. I
think it really depends on the seller and the situation that they're selling. I feel as though the people I've worked with that have been a little bit older appreciate the letters, and they want to know who's gonna, like, if they raise their children in this house and they're selling their lifelong house and downsizing, they want to know the next chapter of their house, and they want to make sure it's going to somebody that they feel is going to love it and take care of it like they did.
yeah.
I think it
agree.
becomes emotional.
For some people,
Cool.
I've got
For-
sellers
yeah.
that are like, "Who are these people? Do they have kids? Blah blah blah." Like they ask me
Yeah.
that all the time. Like I can't ask. I know last year a lot when we worked with a lender that did a lot for teachers and nurses. I think like so many times I got those accepted because people knew like they were a nurse or a teacher and
Yep.
COVID, and I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So whatever works. Or doesn't work. I have a client that used to write letters that isn't writing them anymore. She says they don't work.
Yeah.
So
they could be negative for you depending on who you are. The discrimination factor. They could be like, oh, you're you're not my ideal person.
Correct.
Yeah. So you never know. I that's why we don't like I'd never recommend one.
No.
I never say you can't do one either. I just like
correct
do what you feel you want to do.
Yeah, I actually tell them like legally we're supposed to like not advise you at all. So if you want to send me it, I'll send it. Otherwise, like is what it is. But so
okay, next question. We get a call. This happens very, very often, and some people don't know better on this. Some people think this is the way to go. Well, I want to look at the home, then I'm going to get pre-approved. I want to see if I like it first. This is a buyer asking us that's not pre-approved. Is this not a good idea for a buyer? Why? Or not a good idea for a seller? And the agent. So why? I guess what I want to say.
All of the avenues.
This is why this is not a good idea for buyer, seller, and agent. But why is this not a good idea for the buyer, the seller, and the agent? Can you guys give a couple answers for people of, hey, I want to look at the home and then I'll get pre-approved. Why is that not a good idea for all involved?
Well, you might like it and you can't buy it. So then you're sad and then your home journey starts in depression.
And
it starts as a negative. The couple listings I have that are taking a little over the normal like few days to sell is most of the people looking are not approved to buy it. So they're just looking for fun. And then some of them I think wanted to buy the house and then they couldn't get pre-approved. So what's another reason, Stacy?
I mean, another reason to make sure that you're pre-approved prior to seeing something is, well, and especially in this market, like if you go see it and you don't, it takes like, okay, let's say we see it on Monday and they've already had offers and you do contact a lender. Let's say you contact a lender on Monday as well. depending on your history and your credit score and everything like that, yes, you can get approved maybe by Tuesday, but sometimes it's a little bit more lengthy of a process. And now we're sitting at Wednesday. They've called for highest and best due by Thursday at 9 a.m. and you still don't have your pre-approval. Well, we can't write an offer if we don't have that, because like, let's say your offer gets accepted and you're no longer approved, or you can't get approved. Now we've wasted your time, the seller's time, and all the other offers that they had to reject because they take ours on. And then you're just taking up a space to, if some listings are not allowing overlapping showings, we're taking up a spot that another qualified buyer could take and see the home.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of reasons why it's not a good idea for buyers, I think, and you're starting to mention why it's not a good idea for a seller is if it's an occupied home. And still, on some of the listings, we see, hey, take your COVID precautions, because that's still going around, and people are aware of, like, hey, I don't want people in my home if they don't have to be. But yeah, you're literally, if somebody lives in a home, you're literally not approved. You're like getting them and their kitties and their doggies to leave the home for half an hour just because you want to be selfish or not as wise as you could be and look at a home that you're not ready to buy. Could you get pre-approved quickly? Yes, but what Stacy was saying is the homes are normally sold the next day if they're super good. It's very rare that this works out, that you can look not pre-approved and get approved in time to get the home if it's a good one.
There are a few cases that you get a referral that is moving in a couple months, and they just want to look at a couple different styles of houses.
Sure.
And you take them out one day, show them 3-4 houses, knowing that they're not going to buy for 3 months. So there are those, though, that aren't approved yet. They're not going to get the credit pulled until, like, they know they're moving when school's out. So
yeah, and that's a different conversation. I get
Absolutely.
what Michelle's saying. That's a different conversation. That's somebody we know, we trust, will be doing and buying a house. And yes, they're trying to preview, hey, does it make sense for me to sell my house to make a move? Let's go look at a few homes. So it's not like we never take people out.
Correct.
To look. It's just when it's, well, I want to look and then get pre-approved. I could have made...
What percentage of people look and then aren't pre-approved can actually get pre-approved, though? That's just like, I remember when I first started in real estate, you'd be like, go show this lead a house. They go show them the house, hand them a couple Lindler cards, they call them, they get pre-approved. That was about the extent of it. Now it's always like, why aren't you pre-approved yet? And I think now in this age, like where we're at, I mean, that was 5-6 years ago. I think if you're not pre-approved, you probably can't be pre-approved.
Yeah.
Probably just want to go look at houses because you want to have some thought that you can buy in 2 years from now. So it's like being honest. Like, if you can't buy, you can't buy. You shouldn't be wasting your own time, the seller's time, agent's time. We all have families that we don't want to be wasting time. Sorry. It's just life.
And that's exactly why I threw in, it's not a good idea for the realtor. People forget we've got all these people we're trying to help, especially as the market will be picking up very, very soon as the more listings come out and more buyers are like, hey, the winter's almost over. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense for any of the people involved to do it unless it makes sense based on that little segment that Michelle said, like, hey, you're going to be moving. You want to see if these even make sense. Let's go look at a few houses to see if this is what you want to do, or you can make a different decision. That's a different conversation. I think. Okay. So next question. Here's one that I think we hear sometimes too. I'm going to wait to buy because I hear the market's going to crash.
How long do you want to wait?
10 years. So there's 3 other presidents from now.
Yeah. I guess the answer to that is, well, it's nothing. It's not going to crash. And I think what Chuck was saying the other day is, you do a lot of research on this, and I know you do a lot of reading, and you've been in the business. You've kind of seen the ups and downs of real estate. You were predicting 3 to 5 more years of still, not crashing.
Well, it's not going to crash either way.
No, you're right. Good point. It won't crash.
If we went through COVID, where the stock market literally crashed, which is a whole different market, a whole different investment than a house, and the housing market still didn't crash, like, why would it crash now? Like
It's true.
literally, we shut down businesses, wore masks for 2 years now, and the market hasn't crashed. In fact, it's way higher. I mean, at the end of the day, people are gonna say, well, now the interest rate's at 4.25. I believe it's 4.25 today. Who knows when you're watching this video? Oh my gosh, it's 4.25. I could have bought when it's 2.5. Well, you didn't. Now you want to wait till it's 5.5.
Yeah.
Like I bought it 7 years ago at 4.25, and it was just fine. Everyone, we all survived. You just buy the
I
house.
mean, a 4.25 rate is
It's
below
still low.
the average. It's just higher than it could have been, and people are still buying. So the biggest thing I always remind people when they think the market's going to crash is it's supply and demand. So the supply, there just wasn't enough homes built from like 07 to 2015. So you have about 8 years lack of homes built, and because of that, there's just all those years of catching up on the supply. They can't build homes fast enough now because of the materials that delay a lot of things. So, and then there's just not enough moving. Why is there not enough people moving? Well, one of the reasons is a lot of people did refinance at their low rates. It almost doesn't make sense for them to move. Like, oh, I got a 2.5 rate. I'm going to go 4.25, and the numbers won't work for some of the people. So there's going to be more people staying in their homes longer over the next several years. You have that 8 years of not enough building, and now even 2 years of not being able to keep up with the demand. It's almost like 10 years shortage of building. And that's why I've been telling people you're probably not going to see any significant drop in the market probably for till the middle 2030s. Meaning you could buy a home and do a 15-year loan, it'd probably be paid off by the time you see a significant get them. But with the rates going up, you would expect that the market prices do flatten. It's just the supply and demand so out of balance. It'll probably still do the normal appreciation, which is 1 to 4% over the next few years. So meaning if it appreciated over the next 4 years and you bought a home now and it went up 2% a year, that's enough appreciation where you're not underwater if you had to sell in 3-4 years. But yeah, it's not going to be huge equity. But we know renting in most cases costs a ton of money. So you got to just decide, do you rent and pay somebody else's mortgage or fund their investments, or do you start building something for yourself? It just depends. It's whatever decision makes sense for you. But don't listen to, intuition that you don't have enough research on, or listen to somebody who doesn't know what's going on in the real estate. It's going to crash.
Well, if you go into any metropolitan area and look where there used to be empty lots and they're tearing down old buildings and putting up these huge apartment complexes everywhere, it's like, you think they would be doing that if the market's going to crash? These people aren't trying to throw their money away. So, and these apartments are not cheap. I mean, anywhere in the Twin Cities, you can't really get a 2-bedroom under like $1,500, and it's probably not even very nice. So do you want to pay a mortgage of $1,500? No, some people can't. Your credit score is not good enough. Well, figure it out and buy next year then. And it's like, well, how can I figure it out?
Start repairing
somebody for help, like read books. Like
just
Google.
Get somebody to tell you what you need to do.
Yeah.
There's so many programs out there, and I think way back when we started doing shows, maybe it was during COVID, didn't we have somebody on that was a credit repair person?
Yeah, we did a long time ago.
I mean, yeah, like there's so many resources that even if you're married and like Mr. or Mrs., one of the two of you don't have awesome credit, but the other person does, like, it's okay. Let them buy. You can still be deeded on the title of that house, and you can still own that house with your spouse. You just won't be on the mortgage. Like, not a big deal. Like, don't let that deteriorate, push you away and make you change your mind on not to buy a house so that you continue to throw money away, especially if everything else is in alignment. Like, it's okay to not be on the mortgage. I'm not on the mortgage. I'm fine with that. Like, I mean, when we bought our house, I was newer in real estate. So I was still self-employed. I was making great money, but I hadn't been in the business long enough to be on it. I was like, that's fine. Like, I don't care.
It's a good point. He can't sell without you anyway.
No. And I'm on the title, and it's fine.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
those are all good points. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, people get detoured, like, oh, the interest rate is up. Like, up from what? It's still way lower than it was even at I think about 5 years ago, it was like 5.5, close to 6. It was somewhere after I started.
Yeah, what's your interest rate on the rental? Meaning if you look at what you're paying, what the value of that place you're renting actually is, what is your interest rate if you did a payment schedule on that? Probably in most cases is like 10 to 12% interest rate.
Yeah.
If you calculated out the payment of what you're making compared to what you could on a similar style house.
Yeah. Will more houses come on the market? And depends when you're watching this video. Like, they should. Will they? We don't know. We thought more houses would come on last year, and it's actually less than last year. So
I think the experts predicted more listings, but I almost feel like that was just to keep people from going crazy. Because if you look at the actual supply of homes, one of the emails I read very recently, it was like 0.8 months, like literally less than a month supply of home. And then I think I explained this to Michelle, that probably a third of those are to be built or under construction. So they're not even available, like maybe in 4, 6, 7 months they are. And who knows, it depends where they're at. So you almost got to take those off. So then let's say it's a half a month supply. And then probably half of the remaining listings are listings that people like, hey, the market's high, let's overprice it by $50,000, or let's try to sell this house that's falling over for a good price. And maybe it's not half of those. Maybe it's even 10% of those. But there are, and I've shown some of these where it's whatever the price is, and literally a house is like falling over terrible. And it's like, okay, this should be like 50 to 70,000 less. And who's going to buy those? So there are some homes that just nobody's going to buy because of what they are for the condition. Price. So then there's like such limited inventory, and that's again where the prices have gone up, and it's the lowest inventory ever, like ever in the history of basically real estate tracking the inventory. So that's
then Chuck, shouldn't I just sign my lease again and wait till next year?
Well, I would say it depends on what you're paying for rent. Like, again, if you're paying a ton of money for rent and you think you're going to live in this certain area or general area for a while, I would just grind away and try to find a home and not rent. Because I don't know, depending on what you're renting, sometimes one of the reasons why when COVID hit, houses went up is like, oh, we're going to be stuck in our house. We want to be in a house we want to be in. We want to be in a place we want to be in. We're working from home. I don't want to work in my bedroom with my desk in the corner and nowhere else to go in my apartment or my little house that I'm renting or whatever. And I think, I think the amenities that a house offers, the pride that you have your own house, the fact that, gosh, just think about it. If you made a decision in May of 2020 to buy a house, even when it's still a little scary, like, how's this going to work out? You literally are doing pretty well. You made money.
Made a great decision too. Yeah.
So one more question. This is simple, and in a way we probably answered it. I get this one too. Nobody wants to move in the winter.
That's not true.
In Minnesota, at least. Nobody would want to move in the winter.
Yeah, I don't know. We're still getting multiple offers on basically every property.
Yeah.
Somebody does.
Yep. A lot of people do. I mean, go ahead.
The other answer to that is obviously if you're buying now, you're probably closing middle into March anyway, which I know it's still wintry, but it almost feels like, oh, thank God the winter's over.
Yeah, I agree. That's true. Yeah, people still move in the winter. Obviously everyone has their own perception on winter and how they feel about it. But like, if you can move in the winter and get a fresh start, maybe if you, like myself, I don't like winters, but I just grind through them. But like, if I were buying a house and I got to move into it in winter, like, think of the brand new fresh start. You can have a different perspective and a different outcome and a different outlook on this new thing that you're starting maybe at the beginning of the year. So maybe you'll have a different perspective of winter.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, if you're selling, why would you not sell now? Why are you waiting for two months from now? When is the market going to crash? No. But if it did, why would you wait for it to crash?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like when I get those questions.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, I mean, you're going to get multiple offers no matter what, whether you're listing in the middle of winter or you're listing in 2 months from now. I mean,
assuming you price it appropriately.
Yeah.
correct,
I mean,
correct.
if
Assuming
it's
it's
priced
priced
appropriately, there's still people that are like,
Mhm.
my house is worth this because I think it's worth this, and
Yep.
it's just not quite there, or I want to
Mhm.
price it here because of this, and that.
Yep.
And those are the ones that don't work as well. And we're running into most people understand the pricing importance, because a lot of times you price it just a little bit better than it should be or could be at the right price point. It gets bid up an extra 20, 30,000 than you would have thought it would have. So
Yep.
that's still happening. That's still
It
happening.
is. And
It's gonna be this way this
the
spring with the
appraisals have been good
lawsuits.
too. So
Yeah, had a couple low appraisals like 3 weeks ago, but the last few
Okay.
that are coming through seem to be like people using their brains to praise them and not
I
being
agree.
a jerk about it.
Yep.
So,
I would agree with that one. Yeah.
so that's good. So Stacy or Michelle, do you have any questions that I didn't ask that you want to throw out for obviously us other two that doesn't throw out the question to answer to help answer a real estate question? Otherwise, we can wrap it up in a couple minutes.
Well, I mean, why would I trust you to make an offer for me on a property I've never seen and I've barely met you? So when I was talking to my coming soon people today, a good conversation that came up is like, they didn't know me from anything. I showed up out of nowhere, and usually you lose out on 8 offers before you get one. And by then, now the price has gone up $20,000. So even on a coming soon, or even on a regular offer, I get the question like, why would I randomly trust you to just tell me to offer the list price? Because can't we offer 20,000 low? My parents said that they offered 20,000 low 20 years ago.
I don't think that's a question you get. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I get what you're trying to say.
Questions, no, we do get that, because a lot of people come out and say, okay, yeah, I want to buy a house. Okay, so the price is 400,000. Can we offer 380?
Oh, sure.
Like,
sure.
because a lot of times when I get interviewed by buyers, it's like, how do we trust you with our money to know that you're going to help us and have our best interests? So basically that question.
Okay.
But that's what they're asking without
Well,
asking.
yeah, Stacey, you want to go first so you can.
I mean, like I've told a couple of current people, is sellers are typically getting what they're pricing it for, as long as it's not overpriced. And this property, we'll just use some random property as example. I mean, you can pull comps, and typically when people really question price points and they want to offer low, I always pull comps and just send them to them. Even like after we've had a conversation about it, just look at these. Like, these are the homes that are selling in this area. This is what's active. This is what's pending, and this is what's closed. So then they know that that price that they're paying, yeah, it may be at the top of their budget. And if they love the home, like, what do we say? Like, what is $20,000 on a 30-year loan? It's almost pennies if you kind of price it out and like amortize it down the road. I mean, it's not that much. So if you can get something you love, yeah, you might be at the top of your price point, but in the long run, you'll get that equity and be able to sell it too.
Well, I think the biggest thing as far as to answer the question is, we could offer whatever you want to offer. I want you to be comfortable with your offering. A lot of, like Michelle said, a lot of buyers do take several offers to get one, because at first they want to offer less, and then you run into multiple offers and you find out they get bid up. So if you really, really like the property, yes, you probably have to offer more than you feel comfortable with now. But we've been doing this a long, long time. We have a good idea of what these are going to sell for. Unfortunately, they are selling for more than you would think, and sometimes even more than I think, because sometimes we will make a really good offer and still not get it for our buyers. But in the end, you want to do what you think makes sense. And if you're fine missing a property by offering less now to learn that you have to offer more later, we're fine doing that and helping you any way you want. That's normally in general
That's
what I'm
probably a
telling
better
them.
answer.
But they gotta feel comfortable making the offer, but they also got to understand if there's multiple offers, they're not going for under the asking price. Very rarely, if it's multiple offers, are they going for the asking price. They're literally going above the asking price by, a few thousand at the minimum.
Yeah.
True.
And I think, we've been doing this long enough to realize that no matter who we help, they're usually super stressed out. And maybe more stressed out with lack of supply as like a buyer. Sellers are usually okay now if they just pretend that they don't need to be stressed out. But at the end of the day, like, I feel like I always say, like, the more positive you stay, now you don't want to stay positive. The more positive you stay, like, the right vibes come around and people want to pick your offer. If you're like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
You just told them you can't do this anymore. So try not to be stressed out. You're going to be stressed out. Just lessen it a little bit. So.
True.
That's how I say, but.
Yeah. Stacy, you got anything?
What is the difference between a modular home and a manufactured home? I get that question a decent amount of time too.
I should know the right answer, but
well, I think I know the right answer.
Yeah, I think the manufactured home, and you might correct me, is they're both built off-site. The manufactured home gets put together. The modular home typically is already put together and brought out. They're very,
I thought
very.
It was the opposite.
It could be the opposite. I could be totally screwing this up. You should ask a question that we know.
Well, no, because like I just kind of was looking at this. Like, no, from and maybe you're right. So correct me if I'm wrong too. I thought a modular home was a kit you purchased or you picked at a modular site, brought to said property, and then put together from said kit. And then manufactured is like, lack of better words, like a trailer that is either a single or a double that is brought to property and then put on either a slab, a basement, a crawl space, or anchors.
Yeah, so nowadays you can finance both of them.
You can, yeah, but I mean, people do ask, so I'm like, God, like.
And I think it used to be harder to finance either of them. On the manufactured homes, they do have an ID number.
Yep.
I thought the modular ones did too, but you may be right. They weren't. I think you are right now, Stacy, as I'm going back deeper in my brain. They are brought out, and however they're brought out, they're considered more of a stick-built home.
Yeah.
And the manufactured homes are not. They're considered
like a trailer.
Kind of like a nicer trailer.
Correct.
So they got an ID number, basically a VIN number. It's got to be anchored down properly. You got to have documentation on that to make it for an easy
title
sale
as well.
You got to surrender the title. So if you lose that title and don't surrender it, they think you're going to drive away with the manufactured home, and they do. That would be the main difference.
Yep.
And however I explained up front was probably not accurate. But the modular home, I think they don't even they consider it mostly like a stick-built.
Correct.
Home.
Yeah.
I think there are some situations on the older ones they don't feel as good about it. But the newer ones, I think they're basically like good to go. It's a regular home.
Yeah. Yep. And we can like a lot of. I will say the single manufactured homes as single wide are harder to finance. Usually
single wide's hard to finance.
Yes. They're not around very much.
Manufactured home with the VIN number, the anchored home properly, the title surrendered. They're good to go. It's just, you got to do those steps.
Correct.
The trailer home from 1970 that you can't find anything on because somebody's renovated. It basically will say it doesn't really have much value. So then you got to get almost like a local bank type of loan.
Correct.
Yep. Money down.
Which both homes we run into a lot of them. And so like, it's just good to know, like when people do ask the difference, this is the main difference, but like a manufactured home, like we were saying, could be on a basement, like a full basement, and have like both 2 levels. So
I mean, when they're on pillars, they're harder to finance.
Correct.
If they're on footings and anchored, then they're fine to finance. There's those little nuances.
Yeah.
And when you lose your title and never surrender it, then it's hard to sell. So we ran into that over the years.
I'm currently dealing with that right now with a buyer and a seller, and everyone has been great to work with. We're just unfortunately at the mercy of the government and the state sending us the documentation. So everyone's just kind of being patient, and
Yeah,
everything's filed, right?
you
So
get the duplicate title, but it takes
correct.
several weeks, and then you still have to
Correct.
surrender it, which takes a little bit longer, and then finally you
Yes.
can
Yep.
get it
But
through
it's all
underwriting
going
and
good.
close.
Yep.
So Michelle is outie. So we're
Checked
50
out.
minutes on the show, Stacy. So
All right.
final comments, or you got anything?
Just everyone, stay positive and still buy and sell, because we're here to help you, and we'll do everything in our power to help you get your offers through if there's multiple offers, and we'll try and minimize the stress for you.
And I would say timing the market wise, people want to, should I sell now? Should I wait? If somebody's thinking they're going to sell late this year, but checking on the market if they should do that, which we get that sometimes. I'm a little hesitant to say, hey, yeah, go ahead. October, November selling this year will be fine. Like I said, with the rates going up, you'd see it flattening, but also you get the spike from the low, the spike in the sales. Most real estate years in the spring, because of the low inventory now, the multiple offers, and still the rates are decent. And so it spikes up. Sometimes homes sell for more than you'd think now. And then even if the year over year appreciation is higher this year than last year, sometimes some real estate years, the last quarter, it can trail off and it sells for obviously lower in the fall than the spring, even that the year over year appreciation is still documented as higher in 2022. So I'd be a little bit cautious if I were like, well, I'm going to wait till the end of the year to sell over spring to wait. I'd just be cautious. I'm not saying we sell now, you have to sell now, you're dumb not to sell right now. It's just that question. I think people will do better in the spring, early summer selling than they probably would in October of 2022. But we don't know. It's kind of almost like month to month, because when you have less than a month's supply of homes, it's still good to sell. And it's very difficult to buy. And if the inventory picked up, that would be one reason. And obviously the rates keep going up, then buyers can only buy so much. That would be another reason to watch it. So that'd be what I'd be watching. But all in all, even if the rates go up or there's more inventory, it just turned to a more normal market. So not every house would get multiple offers and sell right away. And that would, again, make it important to really, really make sure you're not overpricing the home. So just keep that in mind as you're trying to figure out timing the market. If you're buying and selling, it almost doesn't matter unless you're moving to out of state where maybe there are better deals in another state or vice versa. So,
yep.
All right. Thanks for watching. And we'll get this
Yeah.
recording up a little bit later. And have a great day. And we'll probably do this again next month to get it going again every month here. So
sounds good. Have a good day.
Take care.